Hello, Marshall. Here is a surprise video for you. And first of all, I would like to thank you so much for your help that you've done for me personally and for every student all over the world. I remember in 2009, I became your student and I participated in a Servant Leadership Academy. When you came to Kyiv National Linguistic University, where I studied, I thought that you were the person who I could trust. And after completing Servant Leadership Academy, I made a project. My project was the school, and I have now students who study English. This project has been for 10 years, and I would like to thank you so much for your great help, your guidance, and your love and your support. So in this video, you are going to hear and see some of my students sharing their lives and sharing their experience, their studying English, and also after reading Granddad's Stories for Future Leaders, they are very excited and they would like to share what they have learned. So here it goes.
Hello, Marshall. My name is Irina. I'm 29 years old and now I live in Kyiv, but originally I'm from Uman. It is a small town in the central part of Ukraine. I work as an analyst in a big agricultural company. I have a cat. Her name is Olivia. My husband and I took her from the pet shelter 6 months ago, and I think she's the cutest, the smartest, and the most beautiful cat ever. One of my hobbies is reading. I read all the time. I like to discover something new from the books I read. I like to observe the characters and actions of heroes to follow their adventures. One of my favorite writers is Stephen King. The other my hobby is traveling. I love traveling a lot. I have been to Italy, Egypt, Austria, Cyprus and Germany. Besides that, I love traveling around Ukraine, especially to the Carpathian Mountains. I think when you travel, you get new emotions, experience, knowledge, new information, etc. One of my biggest dreams is to visit the USA. I believe that one day I will land there, rent a car, and will go across the America 100 miles. I dream to visit the Yosemite National Park, Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, Sequoia National Park, Crater Lake in Oregon, and this list could be endless because America has thousands of wonderful places and sites. So I believe that one day my dream comes true. I like American style of life, American culture, American traditions, and I want to know more about this. We live in a wonderful time when distance of thousands of miles and difference of time are not an obstacle for communication. Who could imagine 20 or even 15 years ago that it could be possible? Marshall, hello again. This is continuation of my story. So I have studied English with Sasha since January 2019. I have English lessons twice a week, so I have had 38 hours of English so far. I have recently read Granddad Stories for Future Leaders, and I was excited about these stories. When I was reading those stories, I was thinking about my childhood. Then I shared my stories with Sasha at our English lessons. Speaking about your stories, I would like to answer your questions in the end of your stories. So, story number 1: starting school in kindergarten. The keyword is sensitive. Question number 1: what does it mean to be sensitive to others? I think to be sensitive to others means not notice emotions and experiences of other people, try to be helpful in difficult situations, be able to listen to people, their thoughts, their feelings, and try to understand them at all. Question number 2: how do you show your sensitivity? I'm very sensitive to the people's mood. I always notice when someone of my close people has changes in their intonation or mood, and I try to find out the reason and offer my help. Even my cat has a bad mood. I try to find out the cause and help her. And sometimes it's very, very difficult. Story number 2: learning to spell. The keyword is change. Question number 1: when have you learned to change? I think people changes throughout their lives. Speaking about me, the situation that changed my life was my move from my home from my parents to another city for studying. I was 15 years old and I just entered in the college. I left usual life in my hometown. I left my parents, my school, my friends. I remember that day clearly. I sat on the chair in my new room in a strange flat in an alien city. At that moment, I understood childhood is over and big changes started. Question number 2: why is change difficult? We get used to the usual way of life, to everyday things, to usual work, even if we don't like it. And change sometimes means go out from the own comfort zone and start to do some unusual things. Our brain begins to resist and stand against any changes. That's why it is so hard to force ourselves to change. Story number 3: creative play. The keyword is creative. Question number 1: how do you demonstrate your creativity? I have not very creative work, but I try to do some creative stuff like painting, embroidery, cooking something special, visiting interesting places, traveling, and so on. Question number 2: what are some of your favorite memories of creative play? When I was a child, I imagined that I will be a famous clothes designer. I painted some sketches and needed to attach next to the picture a piece of textile. On one of the sketches, there was an evening dress with fur cape. So I tried to find some suitable material and saw my father's jacket, which was with a fur collar. I took scissors and cut off a small piece of that collar. Would you see my father's amazement when he dressed that jacket? Story number 4: driving across America. The key word is fairness. First question is what is the meaning of fairness? I think fairness is when you get what you deserve. When you evaluate people for their actions and not for what others say about them. When you work hard and receive a lot. when you're acting according to your heart, when you share something with someone, when you don't lie and don't do bad things. Question number 2. How have you practiced fairness? I have an older brother, so believe me, I know everything about fairness and unfairness. I'm just kidding. When I was a child, I often acted unfairly to my brother. I thought because I was younger than him, I should receive better toys, more sweets, and much more parents' love. But mom told me that we are in absolutely equal conditions and we should share everything we have. In those days, I began understood what fairness means, and now I'm trying to live by a fairness principle. So, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. These stories really help us think about the most important values in our lives: family, friends, help, service, community. I would love to continue reading your stories, and I am looking forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Hello, Marshall. I am Natalie. We met in Kiev about 1 years ago. I told you about myself. So I am an accountant and I love studying English. We read and speak a lot at our lessons with Sasha. I have studied English since January 2018. I have lessons twice a week. My lessons start at the early morning before the starting my working time. So I said, Sasha, don't sleep a lot. Wake up, get up, we have to learn English. I love Skype lessons. They save my time and give me a lot of freedom. I think this is a new, fast, and effective way to learn. My goal is to speak English very well. Do you know, when I was at the starting, that was difficult for me to speak English, but step by step, day by day, month by month, I become better at learn English because Sasha is a great teacher. Yes, it's true. He inspires me. Um, Marshall, welcome to Ukraine. Ukraine is a wonderful country with great people. I wish you to see again. Bye bye, Marshall. Sasha, if I made a mistake, please explain to Marshall about me, and you can say that I'm a giraffe sometimes. Bye bye.
Hello, Marshall. My name is Tonya, and I'm 33 years old, and my birthday is on October 29th. I live in Kiev, and I'm originally from a small town called Tvryi in western Ukraine. My major was accounting, and now I'm a software assistant in a account program in a company called Ukrland Farming. I have a younger sister, Natalie, She's 28 and she works as a secretary in the court in Lviv. My mom lives in Italy and works as a nurse. And my dad has already retired. He is a geophysicist. I have a cat, Mishka, Michael. He's a big black cat. About hobbies, I completed sewing courses, and I like traveling so much. I've been to Sunny Beach Resort in Bulgaria, in Stockholm, Sweden, in Bologna, Italy, in Vienna, Austria, in Czech Republic, Prague, in Poland, in Krakow and Wrocław, in Budapest, Hungary, in Slovakia, Bratislava and Cyprus. I have studied English since October 2017, and I have English lessons twice a week. So, I have had 147 hours of English so far. I would like to speak English fluently because my goal is to understand foreigners and communicate with them. I have recently read Granddad stories for future leaders, and I was so excited about these stories. I have so many questions about your life, childhood, and the USA. So, the first story is starting school in kindergarten. And my questions are, what educational system do you have in the USA? And can children study at home? And is homeschooling popular? And I would like to answer your questions in the end of the stories. What does it mean to be sensitive to others? I think to feel people's mood. And how do you show your sensitivity? I show my real emotions and I try to be honest with other people. Story 2. Learning to spell. I would like to answer your questions. When have you learned to change? Actually, not so long ago, about 5-6 years ago maybe, yeah. Why is change difficult? Because you have to fight with yourself, and which means that the forces are equal. So it's hard. It's difficult. It's real difficult. Story 3. Creative play. I have questions. Which games did you like to play when you were a child besides cowboys and Indians and cycling? And now my answers. How do you demonstrate your creativity? I do not really like to cook, but sometimes I have great inspiration for this. What are some of your favorite memories of creative play? Oh, it's about my childhood. When I was a small child, one winter I made a snow house with my friends. There were branches made of snow and a table, and it was a good time, a very good time. Story 4: Driving across America. I have the most challenging question. When you moved back and forth from one state to another, did you take all your furniture and clothing and stuff with you, or did you sell everything and buy new when you came to a new place? And what do most people do in this situation, in a situation like that? And now your questions. What is the meaning of fairness? I think it's when people have what they deserve. And how have you practiced fairness? Oh, if I can help someone, I do it. Story 5: Grandma's pea soup. Oh, this story is one of my favorite. So cute, so warm story, yeah. Okay, your questions. What is appreciation? Oh, I think when you can say thank you to people. How do others know that your appreciation is genuine? I have a story about it. The door to my house is always open wide, so my neighbors can come to me and just say hello. And these days I was at home and listened to music. And my neighbor came to me and gave me ice cream. Just gave me, and that's all. And I was very excited. I didn't expect it. And it was very cute. And I was very grateful to her. Story 6: Picking up rocks. Oh, and I have a question. Do children help their parents at home in the USA as usual? And your questions. What does it mean to be helpful? I think to do what people ask you and not do not and do not do what can harm. I think that's the main rule. How have you been helpful to others? Oh, we have new employers at work, and I always help them in their work and teach them. Story 7. Milking cows. Oh, what did you like to do on the farm the most in your childhood? Okay, and my answers. What does it mean to be reliable? I think it means to do what you promised. When have other people depended upon you as a reliable helper? There was a situation when I stayed to take care of my old grandmother. Story 10. A life-changing lesson. Do you think about your human nature? Actually, I do it all the time. I think I'm a good person. Not perfect, but good enough. Do you know how to be forgiven for your thing? I think first of all, in order to love people and help them, we must first love ourselves. Dear Marshall, I would like to hear your voice reading these great stories. They are so interesting, and I wish I had such a childhood. Your stories are very cozy and warm. Moreover, I recollected my childhood when I was reading your stories. I also had some problems with writing letters at school, and my mom helped me with that. Do you have more stories? Thank you for your stories, and I will be waiting to read more and hear your voice. Thank you.
Hello, Marshall. My name is Irina. I'm 26 years old and my birthday is on December 24th. I live in Kiev and I'm originally from Berdichev, 200 kilometers far from Kiev. My major was accounting and now I'm a software assistant in an accounting program in a company called UMG Investments. I have a younger brother, Yuri. He is 24 years old. He works as a cook in the restaurant. He lives in Kiev too, and we rent an apartment together. My parents live in Berdichev. My mom is a housewife. My dad works in Poland as a driver. They have 3 big dogs and a cat. Once a week I play volleyball with friends from my last job. Since this spring I have started to learn how to play the guitar. I want to use these skills to serve God and people at church. I like to travel across Ukraine and abroad, of course. I have been in Poland, Krakow and Wrocław, and in Georgia, Tbilisi. I have studied English since October 2016. I have English lessons twice a week, so I have had 245 hours of English so far. Thanks for your stories. I really enjoy reading your short, real stories. Moreover, in this case, they are very interesting and informative, because life in the United States and in Ukraine is very different. It would be great to be able to listen to their audio. For me, this will be another way to learn and to have a good time in our city transport on the way to and from work. Now I have an excellent opportunity to study at once with two teachers, Sasha and Irina. I can say that each of these classes is useful in its own way. Sasha gives me the base so that I can confidently formulate my thoughts both in writing and verbally, because we practice different kinds of learning styles with her. She likes to experiment. About my experience with Irene, I can confidently say that she helped me to stop being afraid to communicate with foreigners. She helps me with my pronunciation and we learn new vocabulary. And yet, which is very important to me, she has become a true friend for me. With her, I can discuss any topic that interests me or what I worry about. So, thank you for your contribution in my studies. God bless you.